have come across the ones that I am going to talk about this morning. But to sort of clarify, there are generic guidance qualifications, which are the Level 3 Certificate in Advice and Guidance and the Level 4 Diploma in Advice and Guidance. And there are careers focused qualifications, which are the Level 4 Diploma in Careers Information and Advice and the Level 6 Diploma in Career Guidance and Development. Now, I'm sorry this slide might seem a little bit small, but I just wanted to give you a sort of overview of each of the qualifications to put those in context. The Level 3 Certificate in Advice and Guidance is a 27 credit unit qualification, and each of the levels and each of the qualifications have different amounts of credits awarded to them. And you can see for a full qualification, each of the qualifications are made up of mandatory and optional units. Now, just to make clear, you don't just have to do a full qualification. You can choose to do a unit and you can get unit certification. You can choose to do combinations of units, and that might be in a way to progress towards getting a full qualification over time. You may need to discuss the sorts of combinations of units that you might be looking at if you choose to do that, but it is possible to do different combinations. In terms of the levels and the level in depth you would be working at these qualifications, for Level 3, you'd be explaining, describing your practice. At Level 4, you would be doing that plus analysing and evaluating your practice. At Level 6, you would be doing all of those things plus critically evaluating and critically analysing your practice. So you can see at the different levels, the different detail that you would need to go into. The Level 3 and 4 in Advice and Guidance are generic qualifications for people working with clients to support them to make decisions and take action relating to a varied range of issues. And that could be across things like housing, health, money management, employability. They'd be managing a caseload, networking, liaising and negotiating with other agencies. And certainly interacting with clients using different interview skills and maybe doing group work. They certainly would also be reviewing their own development and having an understanding of how legislation, policy and procedures, their own values and beliefs relate to their practice. For the Level 4 Careers Information and Advice, this is working with specifically within a career guidance context, providing career information and advice one-to-one and within groups perhaps, showing an understanding of the guidance sector and understanding key guidance theories and understanding legislation, procedures and ethical practice. Again, reflective practice is very prominent within the qualification, and the sort of context somebody might be working within for Level 4 Careers Information and Advice may well be in a supporting role to a qualified career professional. That could be in a wide range of situations, for example, in school, college. It may well be in private guidance companies, that kind of thing. And the Level 6 would be working with clients to provide in-depth career guidance, focusing on helping clients make considered choices and help them plan steps forward to progress around their career needs. Again, reflective practice is very much underpins all of the qualification, and an understanding and applying key guidance theories, theories such as change management and motivational theories, and using those approaches within their practice. There's also areas around negotiation skills, networking and referral. So I've picked out what I would say are the focus on the mandatory units, because the optional units, there's a lot of choice. And what I've done in the next few slides is try to give an overview of the actual mandatory units at each level, so that you can get a flavour of the titles of each unit. So at level 3, certificate advice and guidance, communicating with clients, looking at contribution to the service and reviewing own practice, and there the understanding of legislation and procedures. And as I said, that's applying those things to practice, how they impact on practice. Level 4 mandatory units, again, interacting with clients, but managing caseload, evaluating on contribution to the service, networking, and again, that unit around legislation and procedures. So then you can see with the level 4 career information and advice, and I apologise for the title disappearing there, but it hasn't transferred over for the presentation, unfortunately, but it should be clear on the slides that you get. So again, preparing to work in the career information, advice and guidance sector, and just to say that all the qualifications could be appropriate for somebody new into, say, career guidance or information, advice and guidance, and also for those who are very experienced and anything in between, because it is about reflecting on practice and gaining new skills and understanding and applying those in practice. So the level 4, what we call the level 4 CEIAG, shortened version of career information and advice. There we have reflective practice, interviewing clients to determine their need for career information, advice and guidance, and using career-related information, and that includes labour market information, and also looking at career choice theories and concepts to support clients. And that's showing an understanding of those theories and concepts. At level 6, you can see that there's much more credits mandatory for the mandatory units. Unfortunately, again, the transfer across, so this the unit titles should go from 1 to 7. There aren't 8 mandatory units. There are, I should say, only 7 only. So again, preparing to work in the career information, advice and guidance sector. So that's a unit that's the same as at level 4. Reflecting and improving professional practice, and the career guidance unit, which is 9 credits out of those 45 credits. So it's quite a heavily weighted unit. Interview units, agreeing purpose, and exploring and agreeing career guidance and development needs of clients. And that also includes applying different approaches to exploring the client's ideas, career ideas, using different approaches to help motivate the client, and help the client explore different options and plan action to take. Unit around career and labour market information, and also working with other agencies and being able to negotiate with other agencies as well to benefit the client and the organisation. And that also includes referral as well. Now, there are other routes, other qualifications that would lead to being able to join the Career Development Institute Register of Career Professionals. And I'm not going to go into those apart from, obviously, we're covering the Level 6 Diploma in Career Guidance and Development. And just to say that a full qualification, a full Level 6 Diploma in Career Guidance and Development will allow you to join the Register of Career Professionals, but also any of you or colleagues that you're working with who may want to undertake a further qualification, if they did the NVQ4 Advice and Guidance pre-2010 or the NVQ4 LDSS, which is the Learning and Development in Services for Children, Young People and those who work with them, can do what we call top-up units, which are the units 2, 3 and 6. So that's the reflective practice unit, the theories unit and the career-related information unit of Level 6 Career Guidance and Development. And that would enable them to join the CDI register. There are other routes, part-time, full-time route in qualification and career development at one of the higher education institutes, or various masters and postgraduate qualifications specified by the CDI, which you find more information about on the CDI website, and I've put a link at the bottom of the slide. And there are also higher apprenticeships in career for career development professionals that you may want to look into further if you were sort of looking at all the different options. But today I am just focusing on the vocational qualifications there, the Level 3, 4 and 6. So what's involved? Obviously, you need to be working within a relevant guidance role, and it's quite important to consider if you're looking at any of the qualifications, what your role involves and how you might evidence the qualifications. It's about providing evidence from your work role, and what you don't want is trying to struggle to get the evidence that you need. So a conversation, further discussion, looking at what you do and the kind of qualification you're looking at would be beneficial before you make any final decision. Oops. You do need to demonstrate competence, knowledge and understanding and undertaking any of those qualifications. Again, checking out what the units and what the units are about. So having a further discussion or having a further look at the unit content. And at the end of the slides, I've put a list of information sources where you can get more information about each of the qualifications, looking at the units in more detail from the awarding body. Again, I've already mentioned, but you could see a thread through the each of the qualifications. There is a focus on reflecting on your practice and developing your own guidance practice, and that's why people new to the role might undertake the qualification, as well as those experienced in the role, because it's about reflecting on practice and improving your practice. Even if you're very experienced, we're always learning, we're always adapting our practice, so it's all relevant. And again, a thread through all the qualifications is the working within legislation, within our own institutional policies and procedures, or company policies and procedures, and making sure that we are following the legislation, but underpinning ethical guidelines. The Career Development Institute, you may have come across their Code of Ethics, 11 points on that Code of Ethics that underpins our practice as career professionals in the sector. But also within advice and guidance, we've got things like, if you were following matrix standards, we've got principles within those to follow, to ensure that we're working with our clients in the relevant ways. So moving on to further what's involved. If you undertake the level 3 or 4 advice and guidance, or the level 4 CIA, or the level 6, then you'd be expected to build up a portfolio of evidence. And that might be a range of different pieces of evidence that you might put forward, which would be assignment based. So it could be writing assignments. And I mentioned at the level 6, one of the units around career theory is 9 credits. And that is usually addressed through mainly through an assignment approach. But we also would look at things like work products. So they are things that you might be producing within your work role as you are supporting clients, making decisions, and supporting through one-to-one interviews, through group work, whatever. So it could be things like action plans, client records, and we wouldn't expect a portfolio to include names or anything like that. It would all be anonymised. Case studies, again, you can draw on your practice and really show what you're doing and how you're incorporating different models of perhaps interviewing or theories of guidance or different approaches, how you may be, how you're ensuring ethical practice. You can show a lot through a case study, so they can be very useful pieces of evidence. Personal statements to address different aspects of evidence. You could also have a professional discussion with the assessor who would be assessing your portfolio of evidence, and that will be agreed in advance, of course, so that you could prepare and maybe present some work products at the same time. And it may be that you get witness statements from a manager or a colleague or somebody who has seen you undertake certain aspects of your practice. And certainly all the qualifications at each level would be, you would be expected to have some workplace observation as part of the assessment process, particularly for interviews and group work. And obviously in the last year there's been a great difficulty in going out to the workplace. So again, as with everybody, using platforms such as Zoom and Teams has been really, really useful there. And other things to consider, especially when you're thinking about undertaking one of these qualifications, is that you would be expected to undertake some independent learning and further reading and research as you move up the levels, as you could see from, say, level 4 careers information and advice, and particularly the level 6. There is an expectation that you would be doing your own reading and research as well. And that really is something to consider in terms of balancing your work and your home life whilst undertaking a qualification, because it's not all going to be done in work time, although you will be generating evidence in work time and obviously workplace observations within work time. but we can't get away from the fact that you would need to make space in your own working and home life to be able to undertake some of the evidence that you need. There's also a need to set and meet targets so that you know what you're working towards over the time of the qualification. And I will go on to say the sort of support that we offer from the Opportunity Centre to our learners and helping to meet and set those targets, because there is a commitment to completing by the deadline. And we have particular deadlines set for each of those qualifications, which I will go through shortly with you. Which is actually our next slide, and then I'll stop to see if there are any questions. So in terms of the timescales that we expect learners to complete the qualifications, as you can see there, level 3, 9 months, the level 4, 12 months, and the level 6 full qualification, 18 months. If you were doing the top-up units, which is 2, 3 and 6, that's the reflective practice unit, the career theory unit, and the career and labour market information unit, we'd expect somebody to complete that within 8 months. And in particular with that set of units, you could do those as professional development if you wanted to, not just because, as I mentioned before, if you have level 4 advice and guidance pre-2010, you could do those top-up units to get on the register. If you wanted to do that sort of combination of units in terms of your own professional development to understand and learn about the different theories and look at developing your understanding of career-related information and reflective practice, they might be a combination that you might consider. So I'm going to stop presenting there just to check to see if there are any questions. So
we
Claudia,
don't have any questions in the chat, but we do have someone with a hand up.
okay.
Habib, if you want to take your mic off and ask your question.
Yeah, my question was, if you're a school and want to be Gatsby standards, what level should you be working at?
Yeah, I was going to come on to that, but I'll address that now. For Gatsby benchmark 8, it does, I can quote from it if you like, but you need a careers advisor who's trained at an appropriate level. The career advisor must hold a career guidance qualification at level 6 or higher, according to the Career Development Institute. So the level 6 diploma in career guidance and development would be one of them. And the slide I showed for the routes to the professional register would be the others. So you can go onto the CDI website and if you look at getting qualified, there's a link on the slide that I showed earlier. I think it was slide 5. So it could be any of those other routes, and that's the other thing. If individuals have masters or postgraduate qualifications that are specified by the CDI, it'd be worth having a discussion with someone like Claire Johnson, who's the professional development manager, who could advise if those qualifications would be deemed acceptable for the register. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. That does answer the question. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay.
We've also got Harriet with a hand up. Harriet, if you want to take your mic off.
Hi, thanks. I was just going to ask whether you'd be going through the costings for the different qualifications in this session.
I hadn't planned to, but I can certainly send out costings. I can add them to this at the end of the slide for Claudia to send out. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. Thank you.
Right, Claudia, is that okay? Can I just quickly add something to the end of the slides before you send them out?
Yeah, of course, not a problem. We have got another question from Samantha. It says, can I just complete a level 6 or do I need to start at level 3? Do previous qualifications count?
Right, okay. I'll answer the question. I don't know if I might repeat myself later on, but to answer that, you can go in at any level. The important thing is what I mentioned earlier, to ensure that your work role can provide you with the evidence that you need to meet the units that you, if you're doing a full qualification, the mandatory and the optional units that you choose. And that's why it's important maybe to have a further discussion with somebody about those choices. Does that answer the question? Oh, the other part of the question is that it may well be that you have got qualifications that might, what we call map across. And so that we could look at recognition of prior learning, or with the qualifications like the level 3, there are some units that carry across to level 4, advice and guidance. And you'll have seen that in the mandatory units for level 4 careers information and advice, there is unit 1, which is about understanding the guidance sector, and that is the same as at level 6 mandatory unit 1. And if you did the level 4, it would carry across to level 6. And there are some level 4 careers information and advice units that would map across to level 6. So again, there's a conversation to be had there. If somebody wanted to start at level 4, for example, careers information and advice, they might want to do a combination of units and then progress on to the level 6 at a later date. So again, there's quite a lot of computations, if you like, so it's definitely worth having a further discussion. Okay, is that answered?
British, Samantha said that answers the question. We've got another question from Frank and then we'll move on.
Hi, Frank.
Yes, hi. I did my level 4. I completed in 2012. And I know you said career level 4 2010. So am I also exempted for the units in level 6?
I don't know. We'd have to look at this. Perhaps have a look at your certificate that
Yes.
would list the units, because what happened after 2010, the advice and guidance qualifications were reviewed and revised. And that's why the CDI have said it's the revised advice and guidance. So again, that would be an individual conversation to look at what you've got and check whether you did the because they would have given a time frame for people to have registered and completed certification, which might have gone beyond 2010. So it depends when you started your advice and guidance qualification, whether you started the old one or the revised one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine. Can I email you my certificates so that you can see the units I did?
Sure, yes.
Okay, that's
definitely
fine.
my contact details are on this slide at the end of the presentation, so yes, please do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Are we okay with questions, and shall I continue now?
Yep, you're fine to move on, Brenna.
Lovely, thank you. Oh. If you just bear with me, because I've now lost the presentation. Doesn't seem to want to upload now. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm going to have to flick through to where we got to. Oh, right. Right way on. Apologies for this, I'm just trying to find my way back. Okay. So I said I would talk about the, I've talked about the time frames that we have within our centre, and then what we offer as a centre, and that's just to move on. We will look at supporting from pre-registration to certification, and as I've already mentioned, it's important to have those discussions about which level, which qualification. We would also do some initial assessment. So the person who asked about previous qualifications, we would look at having that discussion to see if there was any mapping or any recognition of prior learning, and also any particular support needs with that particular person in terms of their learning needs. For example, we've worked with learners who have had varying levels of dyslexia, so that we've been able to modify and change some of our approaches. We offer training sessions, and these have been done remotely in the last year. And these focus on the underpinning skills and knowledge that to help you gain further understanding and to help you evidence your work. And also we would particularly look at reflecting on practice, and certainly be looking at ways that you would be able to generate evidence from your work roles. So very much discussions within the training sessions, but some delivered points around and looking quite deeply at models, theories, concepts, depending on the level that you're undertaking. The sessions, the remote sessions, have run for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we've usually planned those on about a fortnightly basis. And again, at each level, it will depend at which level you're doing, how many delivered sessions we would have. As you can imagine, there are more delivered sessions at level 6 than there are at level 3. We've got, you would have access to support materials, and that would be from the training sessions. There are materials that we've developed to support learning, to help people reflect on their practice, and also to help learners generate the evidence that they need. And there are also further resources available through our e-portfolio system, which I will mention a little bit more shortly. We've also offer one-to-one tutorials and coaching sessions, and that's either through the trainer or the assessor that's allocated to that learner. And those discussions are very helpful in helping individual learners get their heads around how to maybe draw down evidence and relate theory to practice as well. Although we have those discussions within the training sessions, sometimes on an individual basis it can be helpful to do that as well. But there are also regular reviews and regular planning, so that we can keep track and ensure that we're meeting those that overall deadline and setting those target dates so that people are continually working towards that deadline and not getting behind. And mentioned e-portfolio. We use an e-portfolio system, so there's no bits of paper flying around, but this is the one pot that holds everything. So all evidence that's submitted, the feedback that the learner gains from their assessor. It's also you can access resources from there, as I mentioned before, and you're able to track progress. It's also a key part of our quality assurance process because it enables a really clear and transparent audit trail for the assessment process and the internal verification process, because we need those in place to meet our awarding body requirements. Further to that, there are other ways that we can support remotely. Obviously, the main platform we use is Teams like this, but we have used Zoom. Mobile technology, obviously telephone and email. And the e-portfolio has a messaging system which operates just like email as well, so that all of those conversations through email are held within that pot of the e-portfolio, which again I mentioned is that transparent process for quality assurance. I mentioned earlier that our learners are allocated a named assessor, so they know who they can contact and they know who their internal verifier is, and their named assessor is there to support them throughout the qualification, not just to assess the evidence, but have those discussions with them through reviews and assessment planning, so that there's clear review of progress made and what perhaps it needs to be done next. And that's all clearly uploaded onto the portfolio for learners to access and check. We have a highly qualified and experienced assessment team. All our assessors and internal verifiers are actually qualified career professionals and have had many years working in the sector and working with the qualifications. And just as an example, I'm not going to give anybody else's details, but for myself, I've worked in the sector for over 30 years now as a career professional, but also working with the qualifications from the late 90s onwards. So, and that's fairly typical of the team. So we've got a lot of knowledge and experience in delivering the qualifications. We've got a consistently high level of learner achievement, and whether that's full qualifications or combinations of units, a lot of our learners achieve within the timeframes that have been set, and some actually can complete quite a bit ahead of time as well, which is great. And we have had regularly excellent external quality assurance feedback from our awarding body, and we get those quality assurance visits from the awarding body twice a year. I'm sorry this slide is all green. It was black originally and it's now gone a different colour when I uploaded it, but and the title's gone a bit wayward, but that should read "Who should do the qualification?" We've already mentioned Gatsby benchmark, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that anybody wanting to provide high quality careers information, advice and guidance to their clients should consider doing the qualification that's right for them, because it can then show that you are committed to that high quality provision. Obviously, if you're working towards or getting reaccreditation of the matrix standards, it's certainly a level 3 or level 4 advice and guidance that may be you required to have. And also within that, some organisations might be working bidding for contracts that need particular guidance qualifications that their staff may need to have and be able to identify on any bids. Certainly, if you're working towards any quality in careers, that the kite marked programmes, and certainly if you are working and needing to work towards Gatsby Benchmark 8 as part of showing that you're meeting the careers strategy, then obviously we've already covered that, it's a level 6 or above qualification. Staff who want to, or individuals who want to aim to improve and develop their practice, so you might want to do something around theories, for example, or have a set of units that shows or can help you develop and improve your practice. And the qualifications that we've talked about today are all nationally recognised qualifications, and the qualifications are from the national occupational standards, are drawn down from those. Certainly, if you're aiming to register as a career professional, you'll need that level 6 qualification, level 6 or above. And also, if you're seeking to progress and it's future proofing, there's a lot of learners I've worked with who've actually started off at level 3, moved on to a level 4, and it's helped them, and even onto a level 6, and it's helped them to actually progress into other jobs and into areas that they really want to work in. And as we can see from this last year, no one knows what's happening next. You know, to quote Dominic Cadbury, it's crazy paving and you lay it yourself. We don't take a linear path in any type of career in its widest sense. It's all a wiggly line, if you like. So, you know, having one of these qualifications, they're nationally recognised, can be really useful for the future. So actually I'll stop there and just to see if there are any questions. I'm going to have to stop presenting again. I'll just check if anybody's got any further questions. Claudia, were there any questions?
We don't have any questions in the chat at the minute, but if anyone wants to put the hand up and ask a question, that's fine.
We should have time at the end anyway, so I'll continue presenting.
Yeah, I think we're good to move on, Brenna.
Okay, well, I'll just have to upload this again, sorry. Just waiting for it to upload. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh. Okay, so just to highlight what our centre is doing next in terms of any new start dates. We've got start dates in April and May for the different levels the qualifications that we've covered this morning. But as I said earlier, it is useful to have a further discussion if anybody is thinking about undertaking any of the qualifications and might not be sure about what other qualifications they might have to carry over, or if they're not sure about how their job role would relate to the qualification that they're thinking of undertaking. So if you would like to discuss the level that's right for you or the content, obviously the costs are an important element, and I will add those to the end of the slide so that you'll get those. But if you wanted to discuss costs, particularly if you've got a group, maybe a small group of colleagues who want to undertake the qualification as well, we can look at costs for that. Or if you've got particular combinations of units in mind, we would have to maybe cost that on a case-by-case basis. So please get in touch. My details are there to get in touch by email or telephone. And I'm going to finish this morning with a couple of quotes from some current and previous learners that kind of reflects the flavour of what we've discussed in terms of what we can offer learners from our centre. So somebody there who's a current learner doing the level 6 with us, just to focus on that, the remote delivery, and it is fairly flexible, and you know, we try and aim to fit around people's work roles, but obviously we would have set times agreed once we have a group of learners. And a level 4 careers information and advice learner who's currently working through the qualification with us, around the support from the assessment side of things and the support from the assessor. And I always think the word assessor sounds quite formal, but we're actually there as assessors to really support learners throughout the whole process, and right from the start to certification. And hopefully that is a, you know, we have a very good working relationship with all our learners to support them. So hopefully that reflects that. And a couple of quotes from level 3 and level 4 learners who have already achieved their qualification. And as I said before, you know, in terms of future proofing, there's a level 3 learner who actually did the qualification, and that did help her to secure a new job, which was really, really great news. And moving on from that, I said that I had put in a list of sources there for further reading, further information. So we've got the CDI link there, and links to where you can actually see the full units, the Careers Enterprise Company link there, and the matrix standards. So I hope that gives you some further information to look at should you need to, or please do get in touch. I hope that has covered what we set out to do. We were looking at what the qualifications were, what was involved, and who should be doing them. So I hope it's given you some insight into the level 3 and 4 advice and guidance, the level 4 careers information and advice, and the level 6 career guidance and development qualifications. So what I'll do now is I'll stop presenting and see if anybody has any questions before we finish. So thanks very much. Hi, Claudia.
That's perfect, Rennie, thank you. We don't have any questions in the chat. If anyone wants to put the hand up and ask a question, that's fine.
think, Frank, did you have another question? Your hand is up.
So how soon are we looking forward to start the course?
Oh, if you wanted to start one of the qualifications,
Yes.
with our centre.
Yes.
Well, you've got the dates there. We've got dates set for April and May for initial sessions, so it will depend on numbers. But if you're going to send me your
yes, I will do.
A scanned copy of your certificates, and then maybe we can have a further discussion. Because what I would normally do, if anybody is interested in signing up for one of the sessions, I'll have a chat with them, and we can go through your individual questions and that kind of thing. So certainly email you, and if you do want to email your interest in whichever date and whichever level, that would give me a heads up as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have another question from Caitlin about the cost of level 6.
Right, I'm going to send the costs out at the end. I'm going to put it on the costs on the end of the slides that Claudia will send out to you, if that's okay. But then do get in touch if you say have any queries about doing specific unit combinations, or if you've got a group of learners to put through. We would need to sort of have a look at the costs a little bit more relating to that. Okay.
Another question, will there be any other start dates later than May?
Yes, we will be putting out start dates. We try and do those flexibly. So we will keep a list of anybody who's interested who may miss the initial start dates that we've put out for the spring. So probably look at numbers and then get back to you individually to let you know which dates will be starting next programmes. But yes, there'll certainly be more. I noticed a question in the chat box, it's disappeared.
It says, can qualifications be funded through Student Finance England?
I'm not aware of that. That will be something you might need to pursue yourselves. I'd have to get back to you on that one. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
That's all the questions we have in the chat box. Any last questions, or does anyone want to put the hand up?
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time this morning. I hope you've gained some further insight into the qualifications, but do get in touch if you have any particular queries, or you have a question relating to what we've covered today, any thoughts, please do get in touch and I'll try and answer your question. The question about the finance, Claudia, can you just make a note of that for me, and I will get back to the person who asked that question just to double check.
Of course, not a problem.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we've finished just about on time, so that's great.